Hi everybody, this is Mr. Bainey. Thank you so much for watching. This is lesson 1.3 in Math 8, ordering real numbers. And the essential question is, how do you order a set of real numbers? The standard 8.ns.2, you'll see up at the top right, what it is that you're really learning here. So now when we compare irrational numbers or compare rational numbers, or any number for that matter, we need to know what process we need to follow or how we're going to be comparing these. And also, can you accurately place them on a number line as well? So something that we're going to be working on a little bit more later on. So there's a couple examples here that you could look at, but we're going to go directly to the your turn. And I would like you to try one of these. I'll do one and then try the other one before you see my answer. So number 3, we have square root of 2 plus 4, right? So we have something plus 4. I know how to add 4, but this square root of 2, I'm not sure what it is. And then on the right side, I have 2 plus, the square root of 4. I know what that is, right? That's 2. So that's going to equal 4. And then the square root of 2, I'm not sure what that is, but think about this. If you have 4 already over here, and then over here I got 4 plus something, think about which one's going to be bigger and which one's going to be smaller already. Now, if you wanted to kind of go through this and figure out, okay, what is the square root of 2? Then you need to know your perfect squares. So up at the top, you're going to see me write the perfect squares. You should know these already or have them written down. If not, please do that right now. The perfect squares are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so on. So you want to know these, right? I'm just taking 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 squared, 5 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared. Just multiplying all these numbers by itself. And then it keeps going. So 2, this 2 right here, then I'm on number 3 now, is not a perfect square, but it's right in between here. Right? 2 is in between 1 and 4. Which means the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. So the square root of 2 is in between there. And it is closer to 1. So I could guess something. I can guess something like, I don't know, 1.2, right? Something that's closer to 1. And this will give me about 5.2. So at this point, right, I did 1.2 plus 4. At this point, I can determine which one's bigger or smaller. And the left side is bigger, so I'm going to write that symbol. And that's it. So I've compared both sides, the left and the right. So try number 4. So I have something plus 6. I don't know what that something is quite yet. And then I have 12 plus something. So let's do the square root of 12. Okay, so that's this thing right here. So 12 is not a perfect square, but I can figure out where it belongs. It belongs in between 9 and 16. 9 and 16. So I know the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. So the square root of 12 is in between there. Which one is it closer to? It's closer to, it's a little closer to that, to the left side. Not that much closer. So it's kind of close. So I'm going to say it's something like 3.4, something like that. Okay, so I'm working on number 4 at the bottom here. So 3.4 plus 6 is about 9.4. And then I still have this 12 plus something, but I don't really need to do that something because 9.4 is way smaller. So I can just stop right there, actually. So, use some logic, use some of your thinking to so that you don't have to do all of it if you don't have to, right? So I had enough information to make my conclusion. All right, so let's take a look at a different type of example. We're going to be ordering real numbers and putting them on a number line. So let's go straight to the your turn. Definitely read or look through the examples above this if you like. So we're going to order these numbers from least to greatest, and then we're going to graph them. So the square root of 5, I want to figure out what the square root of 5 is about equal to. So I'm going to work on it here near the top. 5 is not a perfect square, but it is in between 4 and 9. Right? 4 and 9 are my perfect squares. I'm not going to write down the perfect squares again, so have those handy so that you can use them to help you out. So the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 9 is 3. So square root of 5 is in between those, but it's closer to the 2. So I can say something like 2.1 or 2.2 or something like that. So I'm going to say it's about 2.2. Next, I need to do 3, the square root of 3, from this problem number 5. So 3 is not a perfect square, but it is between 1 and 4. Those 1 and 4 are perfect squares. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. And 3 is closer to this right side, just a little bit, not too much. So it's going to be like 1 point something, 1.8, right? Closer to 2. And then let's graph these. Let's order them. So the smallest one is, notice I didn't have to do 2.5 because that's already a decimal. So the smallest one is 1.8, which is the square root of 3. Then the next one is square root of 5, because that's about 2.2. And the last one is 2.5. Notice I wrote the numbers that we started with from the problem. I didn't write 2.2, I didn't write 1.8 here. Write down the original numbers. Now let's graph them. Square root of 3 is about 1.8, so that's about here. Right, so I'm going to write that down, square root of 3. Square root of 5 is about 2.2, so that's about here. And then 2.5 is right here. I know it's also at the bottom, but I'm going to label it anyway up here at the top. Okay, go ahead and give number 6 a try before you see my solution. Okay, pi squared. So this one's a little tricky. Pi squared means you're going to take pi, which is about 3.14, and multiply it by itself. Okay, do what you need to get that answer, but if this were a quiz or a test, I wouldn't allow any calculators, so figure out a way that you can do that. It's going to be about 9 point something, so let's say it's going to be about 9.5. Okay, I'm just really estimating it. And then we have 10, and then square root of 75. I'm not going to go through the work, but it's going to give you about 8 point, just estimating again, about 8.6. Okay, because it's in between 64 and 81. And those are perfect squares. So pi squared is going to be somewhere around here. Then we have 10. And then we have the square root of 75, which would be about here. And if I were to put these in order, it's going to be the square root of 75, and then pi squared, and then 10. Okay. And the last type of problem is ordering real numbers in a real-world context. And this is just taking a situation, and they're going to give you numbers, and they're going to want you to put it in order. So this is really no different than the ones that we've already looked at. So I would suggest you try the your turn. You have 4 different numbers here. That, and that. And you want to put those in order. So I'm just going to give you the solution here so that you can check your answer. Go ahead and give it a try though. So the order from greatest to least is going to be 3.5. So that's about 3.5. Then we have 3.45 repeating. Then we have 10/3. Okay, 10/3 is about 3.3 repeating. And then lastly is the square root of 10, which I estimated to about 3.1. It's about 3.1 or 3.2, right? It's 10 is in between the perfect squares 9 and 16, and it's really close to 9. So it's like 3.1. Okay? And there you have it. That's it for this lesson. Thank you so much again for watching, and have a good day.